The city never sleeps. Neon lights flash across the wet pavement, and the air hums with the restless energy of people rushing from one task to the next. A man in a grey suit clutches his phone like it's a lifeline, his eyes darting between emails, text alerts, and the ticking clock. He mutters under his breath, "There's no time. There's never enough time." His shoulders are tight, his breath shallow. He pushes harder, faster, yet somehow he feels he's slipping further behind. Now, imagine a river running quietly just outside that same city. The water moves without effort, curving around stones, flowing past fallen branches, carrying leaves downstream. It does not struggle, it does not force, and yet it always arrives. Two images, the man fighting against life, and the river surrendering to its path. Which one feels closer to the way you live? Over 2,000 years ago, Taoist sages gave this effortless harmony a name, Wu Wei, often mistranslated as doing nothing. It is not about laziness or giving up. Instead, Wu Wei means aligning yourself with the natural flow of life like the river, so that what you do no longer feels like endless struggle. But here's the question. In a world that demands we hustle, push, and grind, how can ancient wisdom teach us to move through life with less resistance and more ease? Tonight, let's step into the Tao and uncover the secret to living in Wu Wei. To understand Wu Wei, we must first step back into ancient China, more than 2,000 years ago. Imagine mist curling over mountains, bamboo forests swaying in the wind, and small villages along winding rivers. In this world, Taoist sages observed life carefully, not with machines or formulas, but with quiet attention. They noticed that nature never forced itself. The sun rises without hurry. Seasons change without struggle. Rivers carve valleys not by fighting the rocks, but by flowing around them, day after day, century after century. From these observations came the Tao, the way, the natural order of the universe. And within the Tao, there was Wu Wei, often translated as effortless action. But effortless action is not the same as doing nothing. The Tao Te Ching, attributed to Lao Tzu, says, "The Tao never acts, yet nothing is left undone." What does this mean? It means the most powerful actions often come not from forcing, but from flowing. Wu Wei is the art of stepping aside, letting the current of life carry you, and choosing the moments when effort is truly needed. Think of a skilled surfer. She cannot control the ocean. She doesn't demand the waves obey her. Instead, she waits, watches, and when the moment comes, she moves with the wave. That is Wu Wei. Let's clear up some misunderstandings. Many Westerners hear Wu Wei and think it means laziness, but Taoist masters were not lazy. They farmed, wrote poetry, practiced medicine, and guided rulers. Wu Wei does not mean ignoring responsibility. Instead, Wu Wei means aligning with the path of least resistance that still leads to harmony. Consider the story of Kukding. From the Taoist text, Zhuangzi. Kukding was a butcher, but unlike any ordinary butcher, his knife never dulled, even after 19 years of use. When asked how this was possible, he replied, "I follow the way. I cut between the joints, never through them. My knife finds the empty spaces. I move with what is, not against it." This story illustrates Wu Wei perfectly. It is about mastery through harmony, not brute force. In modern terms, it's the difference between someone grinding at a job they hate forcing every day, burning out, and someone who finds a role aligned with their strengths and passions. Both work hard, but one feels drained, the other feels alive. Wu Wei is not passive. It is deeply active, but in a way that feels natural, sustainable, and even joyful. In ancient China, a young warrior trained endlessly. He pushed his body until exhaustion, his sword clashing against wooden dummies late into the night. Yet, when he faced real combat, he lost again and again. His movements were rigid, his breath shallow. One day, he encountered an old hermit fishing by the river. The hermit watched the warrior struggle and said, "You fight like a man against water, but who wins against water? The river flows and the stone breaks. Would you like to learn to flow?" The warrior stayed. Days became weeks. He learned to breathe with the rhythm of the river, to let his sword move when the moment felt right, not when his fear commanded him. In time, he returned to battle not stiff and forceful, but fluid and calm. He won, not by overpowering his enemies, but by exhausting their strength while conserving his own. Wu Wei was his secret. Now shift to modern America. A young woman named Rachel lives in New York City. She's a marketing executive, always chasing deadlines, always exhausted. She believes success comes only through constant hustle. Her mornings start with triple-shot coffee, her nights end with sleeping pills. She is running, but running on empty. One weekend, she takes a trip to a Zen retreat. At first, she hates the silence. Do nothing, she thinks. Impossible. But slowly, she notices her breath. She notices how forcing her mind to stop thinking never works it. When she stops fighting, thoughts drift away on their own. She learns that productivity doesn't always mean pushing. Sometimes it means pausing, resting, letting clarity come naturally. Back at work, she experiments with doing less, but with more presence. To her surprise, her ideas improve, her energy lasts longer, and her stress decreases. She hasn't abandoned ambition. She has found Wu Wei. In another story, a father struggles with his teenage son. He demands grades, obedience, discipline. The harder he pushes, the more his son resists. Their home becomes a battlefield. One day, the father recalls a Taoist saying, "The softest thing in the world overcomes the hardest." He decides to stop forcing. Instead of yelling, he listens. Instead of demanding, he guides gently. Slowly, his son opens up. Their relationship heals. This is Wu Wei in family life. Guiding without crushing, leading without dominating. So, what can Wu Wei teach us today? 1. Stop forcing what isn't flowing. If every step feels like walking through mud, maybe you're moving against the current. Wu Wei asks, is there another path? 2. Master through alignment, not resistance. Like Cook Ding the butcher, look for the natural empty spaces. In work, this means using your strengths. In relationships, this means meeting people where they are, not where you demand they be. 3. Productivity can mean pausing, breaks, rest, reflection. These are not wasted time. They are the spaces where clarity and creativity grow. 4. Flexibility is power. The oak tree that resists a storm breaks. The reed that bends survives. In life, flexibility beats rigidity. 5. Success without burnout. Wu Wei does not mean no effort. It means right effort at the right time. Like surfing a wave, you paddle, but only when the wave comes. Picture yourself back at the river. The water still flows, patient and unstoppable. The city still rushes nearby, its neon lights flickering, its people running endlessly. But you have a choice. Will you live like the man in the gray suit, forcing every step, exhausted by resistance? Or will you live like the river, flowing, adapting, arriving without struggle? Wu Wei does not ask you to abandon your goals. It asks you to release the fight against life itself, to trust the current of the Tao. In doing so, you discover that what you truly seek, peace, success, connection, was always waiting downstream. Lao Tzu wrote, "By doing nothing, everything is done." Tonight, remember this ancient wisdom. In your next moment of struggle, pause, breathe, and ask, am I forcing or am I flowing? The choice is yours.